Hi guys, I welcome you all to my individual episode as a part of Sisterhood Across Seas podcast in our January challenge. I hope you enjoyed the episodes we recorded together, and today I'm really thrilled to invite you to my episode where I will be talking about a pretty important topic, that is independency in education. And personally, as a Polish student, that's a topic that it's more than important to me. And if you don't know why, you will definitely know it after you will heard some stories I will tell you in this episode. So I hope you enjoy it, and I would love to start with a question. I asked my friends and all people from Girls Future Ready that follow us on Instagram. So I asked people what does it mean for them, a term independent school, and I've got so many answers to this question. So people told me that the school should be a safe space, that should be a place where respect to all minorities, human rights, where you can always be yourself, where there are diversities, and what's a place for conversations and discussion. It should be a place for creativity. And honestly, I think we all can agree that it sounds like a dream school, because that's actually how it should look like. But in a real life, I think from our own experience, I hope no, but from mine, it's not how the school always looks like, and it's not always the teacher's fault or the school's community fault. It's sometimes government's fault maybe, or someone else. So, as I said, as a Polish student, that's topic is more than important to me. So at the beginning, it's at the beginning, but as a second part of the beginning, I would love to tell you a quote that said the person who was actually in charge in Poland, was in charge of education in Poland. And he was a minister of education for the last 3 years. And fortunately, he is not a minister anymore. Why? Fortunately. That's all his words. Let's stop listening to ideas about human rights or equality. He's also famous for some quotes about women that shouldn't focus on their career, on their job, just to be pregnant, to have as many kids as they can, because when they are going to universities, that's not possible to have many kids. Or also he was famous for many homophobic speeches, or he also it's this kind of person that says small girls that they are too fat, and looking for a fact that actually Polish teens, especially girls, are super uncomfortable with their bodies statistically. That really might have tragic consequences. So that unfortunately, I have an experience of being students when this guy was a minister of education. And for example, there were situations where schools were banning from organizing Halloween parties because it was against with a policy he had. So to save kids in Poland, he was banning the parties. Or there are also, for example, some teachers that because of his demands were banning some school plays or some trips to places. And he's also known from creating a new subject in Polish schools that were more than controversial. It's called History and Present, but the controversial part were curse books that were made certain to this topic, that are full of sexism, racism and homophobia, and also some crazy notes about how Facebook runs the world, like world government or something like that. That was full of conspiracy theories and so on. And yeah, that was a curse book from which students were supposed to learn. And that's like a part of a really big problem that's unfortunately happening around the world. So indoctrination, which involves imparting a set of beliefs, values, or ideologies to groups or people or just individuals in order to shape their thoughts, opinion, or their behaviors. And the example I mentioned before definitely fits to this topic. But unfortunately, that's my favorite word probably in this podcast and this episode. I found also some other examples around the world. So, for example, there's a huge conversation in USA right now about banning books in school libraries that are, for example, about Muslims or that has LGBTQ characters, which also happening, for example, in Hungary. I don't know if you read Heartstopper, but that's a book which is set in Hungary and in black boxes, so you are not able to see the cover. And it's all done to save kids, obviously, to educate them, let's say, in a correct way for the government. Also, I said about banning Halloween parties, but also in Poland there's a pretty important book called Dziady. It's actually a Polish version of Halloween in few words. I hope no one won't be angry about this comparison. I think the easiest way to say what it is. It's pretty important event. It was pretty important event during world wars and after, when the Polish culture was fight by governments. And right now, there were situations when people were making new version of the story of this book. And surprisingly, the Minister of Education I was talking about also banned them. So you actually probably see how the situation looks like. And that's really more universal problem. Then it's not really happening only in as I said, as I mentioned, USA, Poland, Hungary, but it also happened in Asia, for example, when there are all those education camps with people who doesn't agree with government in some ways. And I think there are some the problem that we all might see it's like, for example, learning like only one version of history to glorify the country. I think it's happening pretty often, like in movies or in school. Like we are talking about education today. So as you can see, the problem of like indoctrination about like stealing the independence from school is pretty important, and it actually takes away our safety from schools, because we are no more sure if the thing we are actually learning are the truth, because of maybe someone just want to change some facts or something like that. But what I'm sure about that it's not that easy as like governments, as Minister of Education or teachers might think it is, because what we actually important so that I guess no one really treating just like the subject talk about or other things seriously. Like everyone was just making fun of it, or I don't know, signing some petitions, doing them, or taking part in protest, because there are so many of them. But that's really important to not just like talking to each other how bad it is. It's just very important to do something. So important, there were many organizations fighting with it, and if you will look on our Instagram, you'll probably see Red Set Square with name Wolna Szkoła. That's, I think, the biggest organization that's founded in Poland to actually fight with this Minister of Education. And actually it became a symbol of a change that has to be made in our educational system to guarantee students, parents, that the school will be fully independent, that were based on scientific facts, not on their religion, on some beliefs, because all of us have the right because everyone has the right to education that's just independent. Like, it's the main word of this episode, independency. And like, I'm sure that when you will think about it, that's the biggest quality that all schools around the world should have, and we should do everything we can to turn our dream school that I was talking in the beginning of this episode into a reality, because it will be so beneficial to all of us. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Check what I wrote in Instagram about it. Share your opinion, maybe. Did you see any indoctrination in your school, in your country? Do you see maybe any solutions that I didn't mention? So feel free to discuss, because that's the biggest value that education everywhere should have. And I'm really happy that I could record this podcast to you, that I can record it. I'm really happy that I could record this podcast to you. And I hope you are also happy that you are listening it. So stay tuned, because definitely in the next month we'll come to you all have something amazing also. So bye.